Hey, everybody, you are listening and watching the We Are Rising podcast. This is your host, Andrew Benjamin, and I'm joined by two very special guests. We got two, I think, of the best English commentators in combat sports right now. Stewart Fulton, Mark Pickering, here to talk about the RISE El Dorado show, which will be this Sunday nights, Saturday night, Sunday night for those us in the West, and also commentating Quintet, and now the English commentators for Pro Wrestling Noah. Thank you, gentlemen, for taking your time out to talk today. I really do appreciate it.
No problem at all.
Cheers.
So first on the dock, as you can see right behind me, I'd like to talk the Rise show coming up, El Dorado, this weekend, which will be available on Fight. I guess I'll start with you, Stuart. Tell us, what are you looking forward to about this Rise show coming up this weekend?
Well, quite simply, I look forward to every big Rise show. The level is astounding. It is the best in Japan right now, and of course the cream of the crop are up with the top in the world right now, as we saw with the World Series tournaments back in 2019. So the level blows me away as it is. As a kickboxing fan, I got into martial arts, mixed martial arts, primarily through kickboxing and then into grappling after that. So my first love was striking. So just as a fan, it's amazing. But on top of that, you have the production value of Rise. The shows are just so well put together. I mean, hairs on the back of your neck kind of stuff. So overall, I'm looking forward to it. If you want to know particulars, we'll get into that in a minute.
Mm-hmm. And how about you, Mark? What are you looking forward to most about this show coming up?
Yeah, as Stuart was saying, for Rise, for me, it's a complete package. The production values are immense. It's like peak Japanese MMA time. And I think even Abim have taken it to a whole nother level as well, to be honest. And especially when you have to think, these times we're in, we keep going back to it. We're saying this COVID pandemic, as ongoing as it is, you have to look at the matchmaking really in Rise. I mean, I think it's really second to none. They produce these absolutely superb cards time and time again. And now it's in a time where they can't bring in international fighters. And still, that there's no hesitation at all in putting together the top matches, the main event this Sunday, the co-main event, the co-main event itself, that could headline absolutely any show in Haraguchi and Shiratori. So I think really it's a whole package. It's the compelling nature of the fights, the production values, you package it all together, and I think you can have a blast for 3 hours watching Rise.
Mm-hmm. And let's talk about the main event, Tenshin versus Shiro 2. Tenshin defeated Shiro first time by decision. Do you think? I know that Stuart and we talked about this last time you're on. Nobody's going to defeat Tenshin until it actually happens. Do you think that Shiro? What chances or what do you think that Shiro can do to defeat Tenshin? Stuart, I'll start with you.
Yeah, it's a difficult one because he's not just good, he's not just very good, he's a whole league above the best. So getting close to him is a tough one. However, the dynamics of the fight this time, the second time round, between them make it quite fascinating. So when they faced each other in the culmination of the tournament in 2019, obviously we all knew how good Shiro was because we saw it through him. It was an 8-man tournament. And through to the final there. And I think the problem was he was not letting go enough. He wasn't pulling the trigger quite enough. I think maybe I spoke to him briefly after the show, and I think maybe the nerves got to him a little bit, the big stage, Tenshin being a big name. Basically, these two are the best in that weight division in the country. And like I said before, world class. So we saw not just glimpses, but we saw the proof of the pudding in Shiro's skill that time. But because he didn't pull the trigger quite enough, that carries over to this time. So he's made his way back through to face him again. And my God, what we saw him do in his last fight. He really was a step up. I think Mark will back me up on this. When we were out in Osaka, Shiro just looked like he'd leveled up everything. He looked super confident. He wasn't holding back. He was seeing the punches and kicks coming. He was reacting faster than his opponent, and he was hitting hard. I mean, I've never seen him hit that hard before. Really quite frightening. So to see that contrast the first time they faced and what he's done since then makes this fascinating.
What do you say, Mark? Judging by how Shiro did in the tournament, just a reminder to anybody who didn't see the tournament, Shiro defeated Suzuki and Ueyama in that tournament. And I think, I was not predicting him to really beat Suzuki. I had Suzuki. I thought he was going to win that fight. So what do you think about Shiro? Does he have a better chance now, you think, than in defeating Tenshin?
First, I punctuate this by saying you have to be a bit special to have a tournament where it's just intended for the winner to be your number one contender. The tournament was designed around creating, this new challenger to Tenshin. So that's a nice dynamic to play off. And I was only watching the first fight a couple of days ago. It's up there on Rise on YouTube. You go back and watch it. It's got almost 2 million views. And what came across was really, when I watched it again, was Shiro, as Stewart said, he was shot shy. Maybe it was the aura surrounding Tenshin, bit of nerves, just seeing how it was going to unfold, and obviously slipped to a unanimous decision loss. But I think, as Stewart said, looking at the tournament last year, I think that Shiro, he's a different level now himself. I think he's a different kind of fighter. The way he took out Suzuki, who is this explosive KO artist, that was absolutely flawlessly done. And yeah, I think Shiro has had some time. He can obviously look and go back on the first fight, what didn't work. I think he knows now he's got to change his tactics. He has to come out strong. He has to start strong. I think that's really crucial here. You can't let Tenshin take over the fight early on and then just see out a decision, because obviously Tenshin as well, he will be unhappy with the first fight. He'll be unhappy that it was only a decision. So he'll want to raise it up another level. So you've got two guys just going to come out toe-to-toe from the first bell. I think it's going to be really, really explosive. And I think this is going to be another step up for Shiro. And I think he'll give Tenshin probably one of his toughest fights to date.
What do you think this one will go the distance like the first one, Stewart?
You can't rule that out because of the level they're at. It can boil down to very pinpoint, very, very hairline stuff. But the fact that they have gone the distance already, it could suggest it's possible. But as I said, as Mark said, Tenshin will not be wanting that to happen again. He wants to stamp his authority and make it final, because he's going to be leaving the kickboxing world fairly shortly. And Shiro, likewise, he doesn't want to edge out a decision. He wants to finish his guy. I mean, when he went in against Masahiko Suzuki, Suzuki had not been finished in over 10 fights. And what he did to him was jaw-dropping. So yeah, I think that the likelihood of it going to a decision is not as high this time, but like I said, you can't rule it out.
And speaking of draw dropping, I do want to talk also about the co-main event, which I think Rise was hoping was going to happen at the last show, Taiju Shiratori versus Kento Haraguchi. Shiratori did not, I guess, unexpectedly lost against Tanaka. Kind of really probably one of the most, I would definitely say, if there was underdog, overdog, definitely Tanaka was the underdog in that match, and the fact that the way he beat Shiratori, I think was I don't think a lot of people saw coming. But now this is the match I think people want to see, and so now we're finally getting it. And I'll ask you, Mark, what do you think about Kento and Shiratori about this matchup?
I absolutely can't wait for this one. As you were saying, Andrew, this is what people expected in October in the tournament finals. A lot of people had Shiratori penciled in as the favorite. But that's why we love kickboxing. That's why we love combat sports. It was a freak upset. It was via the knee, and it was a judge that Shiratori couldn't continue. But then post-match, after Haraguchi won the tournament, he immediately declared he put down the challenge to Shiratori. And, as I go back to the matchmaking of RISE, we've only had to wait a couple of months, and here we are. They're ready to throw this one straight out there. And normally this could top absolutely any bill. So for this to be in a co-main event slot as well, it goes back just to the quality and the level of RISE. But as a special attraction, I think this is a really, really tough one to call. I know it's one that Stewart's been looking forward to for a while. He spoke to Haraguchi just when we did the last show. And I think it's, wow, what a prospect this is. I absolutely can't wait for it Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Stewart, do you expect, one of the things I've noticed in Shiratori, the fights that he either does not do as well in, or the ones that he's lost, is whenever opponents get close to him, he seems to it almost seems to throw him off. He seems to just keep his whole thing is because of his length. He's tall, he's lanky, is to keep opponents at bay. But as soon as they get in, he almost seems to just it throws him off his game. Do you expect Haraguchi to do that in this fight? What do you think Haraguchi has to do to beat a guy like Shiratori?
Yeah. I mean, you hit on a good point there. Taiju Shiratori, he's used to having his own way. He's tall, he's rangy, and he uses his reach and distance very, very well against everybody. He's super confident, which counts for a lot. When you thoroughly believe in yourself, and you've been able to back it up on numerous occasions, it makes a very formidable opponent. But yeah, Haraguchi is going to be all over him like a rash. The dude fights like someone stole his lunch money. He's an absolute beast, and he will definitely not be wanting to stand and trade on the outside where Shiratori is most comfortable. So it's one of those do not blink fights, because although they don't take crazy risks, they're super professional. They will go for gold. I mean, RISE is all about that, and that comes from the top every time. The boss is very, very very strict about that. I mean, it's a spectacle. There's no love for judge decisions. So yeah, I expect Haraguchi to be blazing saddles.
Mark, for you, as the fight goes on, do you think that favors Shiratori or Haraguchi? Because here's the thing about Haraguchi. Haraguchi, I think, has a better chance of knocking out Shiratori than Shiratori has knocking out Haraguchi, in my personal opinion. So do you think that it favors who? Do you think it favors a more specific fighter the longer this fight goes on?
Yeah, as you say, I think Haraguchi is going to go in and he's going to try and take him out. I think he's going to make a really bright start. He's going to go looking with that KO power. He's going to see if he can build some combinations. And this is the fight he's been looking for. Just after he won the tournament, there was no time to rest on that. He was immediately staking a claim to face Shiratori. And now Shiratori has to come back from disappointment of the tournament loss. So right now, Haraguchi is just building this momentum, and this momentum is just going up and up. So I think he's going to go out there. He's going to start early. All the confidence, all the swagger is going to be with him, as we know it is. And then as it goes along, maybe he gets a little bit more frustrated. He tries to maybe have some difficulties with the range, the height, of Shiratori, one of the tallest for that division. And then maybe Shiratori finds a way just to build up a little bit more and more. But I think Haraguchi will be starting the strongest. And then, yeah, potentially Shiratori will try to work his way in. And that's how it could unfold.
Now, Stewart, if Haraguchi wins this, do you foresee RISE potentially trying to do this as an opening for a Haraguchi Nasukawa fight at around 135 or that weight class? So just to let anybody know, Shiratori does train with Nasukawa as well. They're the two golden boys at Teppen Gym.
Yeah, that's right. No, I don't see that happening, to be honest. You can't rule it out, but I don't think they'll go that route.
What about you, Mark? Do you think that they would that if Haraguchi win, they would try to use it as an opening for Nasukawa Kento fight?
I don't see that on the cards either, to be honest. I think they're just going down separate trajectories at the moment. I think they're going in different directions, and I think that they could both, headline individually. But I don't see that as a fight that'll really be in the bookmaking plans. Maybe in a couple of months things will open back up, and then I think they'd be looking to put both guys up against top international names, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Moving on to another fight. One of the fighters, I guess you could say, who is slowly climbing up my radar and other people's radar is Hinata Terayama, who's taking on Suzuka Tabuchi. And Stewart, I'm sorry, no, I feel like Terayama, if she continues on this successful path, she could become like the equivalent of like a female Tenshin. I really do believe that. She's a charismatic personality, and she's got the skills to back it up as well. What do you think about that?
Yes, she's still very young, and she's shown incredible composure throughout that whole Girl Power Queen of Queens tournament last year. And, the ladies threw everything they had at her. I mean, Sasori gave her an absolute run for her money. And still, she listened to her corner, she kept her composure, and she didn't allow that the wildness of her opponents in that tournament to overwhelm her. So for someone that age to be looking that good and have been tested very well so far, it says a lot about her future. And yeah, I think she has a very, very exciting future. She's, as you said, she has the aura as well. She's a queen of queens now. So yeah, she's another one riding that wave. And yeah, I'm expecting some great things from her in the future.
By the way, also as well, she does train at Teppan Gym as well, so she's learning from the best as well. Mark, what do you think about this matchup? Because I think going into this, it almost seems like a match that they want to kind of like, if you want to say in pro wrestling terms, they want this Suzuka Tabuchi to almost kind of job to Terayama. They kind of want to give her another win on her record. I guess if you can sell me Suzuka Tabuchi with how much like what should we pay attention about her?
Yeah, I think here comes Tabuchi. What an opportunity this for her to come in one of the top fights on this massive bill. I believe she's got a strong karate background. She's got some strong results domestically, national championships. I think she's fought abroad as well. And I think she'll come in there knowing that, yes, Terayama is one of the best that she does. She won the Queens of Queens title, but there's absolutely no lose situation for Tabuchi. She'll come in there. She can absolutely give it her all, taking on one of the best, as you said, from Team Teppan Gym. Absolutely, I think it's a no-lose situation for Tabuchi. If she can take her the distance even, that will almost be like a minor victory for her, and that will guarantee her some more appearances in RISE. So I think she'll come in there with no fear, and she'll get absolutely the best shot she can, and hopefully she can make it a really competitive fight.
Actually, I also want to bring up, usually RISE, these big RISE shows have 100 fights on them. I'm very disappointed to see that Sasori did not make the card, unfortunately. Currently my favorite women's kickboxer in Japan right now, Sasori.
Very cool.
Oh yes. What on the undercard which fights are you looking forward to the most, Stewart?
Well, I always enjoy watching Benoit fight, Black Panther Benoit. He's a fascinating guy, actually. He does stand-up comedy and stuff. Very, very interesting personality. And yeah, he brings a really special flavor to RISE. Always loved watching him fight. And his matchup's really good as well. Yuya.
That's a rematch, I believe, right?
Yeah, they fought before.
Yep.
I believe, yeah. And Yuya's the #1 ranked middleweight. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Oh God, there's so much going on. Genji Umino, he's got a good, very interesting fight against a Thai guy, obviously resident in Japan, Norising Special Gym. So that's going to be a pure pure Muay Thai style fight. So that'll switch things up a little bit on the undercard for all the Muay Thai lovers. Rui Ibata, I mean, if anybody's watched this guy fight, he's another one that's he's got stardom ahead. He could well be a legend in the future, taking on Kengo. So yeah, those two fights I'm particularly looking forward to in the undercard.
Actually, it's great you bring up that fight because I need clarification because I don't know if Tapology has the correct Kengo. Which Kengo is this? Because apparently from that gym there are two fighters with the name Kengo.
So yeah, Kengo.
That's the Sei Gokan gym, by the way. And they list this Kengo as being 44 years old, and the other one is 26. And I don't know, and one of them fought for Rise. So I'm not so sure if that's a mistake on Tapology's part or if they just they've gotten the two Kengos.
26.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. 26-year-old Kengo.
I was like, this is the Kengo from the last show, from the I think it was the Osaka show, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha.
He's tall. He's an orthodox fighter. He's got excellent hands. He's another one that's come through the Deep Kick organization. He was a 55 kilogram champion. His background is karate, glove karate. Yeah, that's the Kengo.
Okay, gotcha. Because that Kengo, he came on my radar when he had his Rizin fight against Ueyama, and it was kind of like he was kind of thought of as a joke because he brought like his whole karate team there to the show and all that stuff, like 30 or 40 people, and it was clearly like a fight to give Ueyama a win. But ever since then, Kengo's teams have been kind of like, I think, going on a little streak in Kick and Rise. So I think a lot of people underestimate what if they know him from that one Rizin fight and just think of him as this kind of like this karate joke.
That's right. Yeah. Back in Osaka, he absolutely ruined Yuya's night. First round knockout. I mean, it was just all over in a flash. I think it was within the first 2 minutes. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mark. But yeah, super exciting. And yeah, he's on a tear. He's won his last 4 in a row.
What do you think about that fight? Do you think this will be? You think that will be another knockout for Kengo? Do you see Ribata just going the distance, just piecing him up? How do you see that fight going? It's a really interesting stylistic matchup. That's why it's like I'm really intrigued by.
Yeah, I think that one will be a top draw fight. Ibata against Kengo. That was another one I was looking at and was gonna pick out myself. But also I was going to highlight on the card as well. We've got Suzuki, and he's third from the top, and he's taking on Tamida. Obviously, last time we saw Suzuki, he was coming off the final loss, and he left the ring in tears. So he'll be a man out looking for a minor level of revenge, back to re-establish himself on the Rising show. And I think he's one of the most explosive fighters that there is, one of the top guys in Rise. And that's third from the top. He's taken on Tameda. Tameda was the Rise bantamweight champion at one stage. So I think, again, this is another one which has potential to steal the show. And I think Suzuki will be really on a barnstorm for performance here.
And one of the last questions I have about the Rise show, I got to ask about this fighter because his name sticks out like a sore thumb. Delgamaru Kenshinen. What is it about this fighter, and who is he? And tell me more about him, Stewart.
Oh, dude, I actually just exchanged a message with Mark today. I'll be quite honest with you, my prep hasn't got that far down the card yet. So I don't know much about the guy, and I think I'm going to have to speak to the top brass to get some more information on him. Really not sure what to expect. But I do know that whenever I've seen the Mongolian guys fight here, they're like bats out of hell. And they're so tough to finish. They might not have the pinpoint level of skill as the elite Japanese kickboxers, but what they don't have in that, they make up for in heart and grit and determination. I really don't know what to expect from this, because his opponent, Makoto Aiuchi, it's his debut.
Mm-hmm. But his Rise debut or his pro kickboxing debut?
I believe it's his pro kickboxing debut.
Oh, okay. Also want to give a shout out to the another kickboxer on the show who has a unique name, Yaman. So yeah, I always like these funny names that like kickboxers go by, whether it's just like their first name in all in capital Roman letters or just like names like Yaman. I just think that's like I think it's so funny how in kickboxing you could get away with that, or like Sasori or Hal or what, just like all the craziest names in the world.
Did you know Rasta?
Rasta? Oh yes. I think he fought on the Rizin show. I think 2 Rizins ago. I think it was a Rizin show last year. Yeah.
You do know that's not his nickname, right? That's actually his real name.
Okay, because I really thought that was his nickname. Like it was like a Jamaican-inspired nickname, and so that's why he just.
Apparently that's his real name because his parents love reggae.
Oh God.
Yeah, so he's the real deal. There's no pretense there. He's true to himself.
Gotcha. Actually, one last quick question about the Rise show. It'll be about Tenshin, Stewart. If Tenshin wins this, what do you think will be next for him? Do you think we'll finally get that Takaru match in Rizin, or is there something else you think that will happen down the line?
Yeah, obviously I'm not privy to the highest level conversations there, but it would not surprise me, knowing what I know in the circuit here and with what's been going on last year with the coronavirus situation causing problems, and the sports world in Japan trying to pull through and hang in there and produce some kind of Olympic event of some sort. There's a lot of pressure to make that happen. So that it wouldn't surprise me if we see that, if we do see that happen. I wouldn't be falling off my chair. In fact, I'd probably be much like both of you guys. I would be absolutely ecstatic to hear that announced.
Mm-hmm. Mark, what about you? Do you think this is the year we finally get Tenshin Takaru?
I think all the signs are there. We seem to be edging closer and closer. Takaru was introduced at the Rizin show on New Year's Eve, which everyone got totally giddy then after that. And yeah, the signs are there. They keep talking about it, and now they're meeting at events, pictures taken together. And I think that obviously with this pandemic now, maybe both parties will realize, we need to do something now to keep top level kickboxing, to get the public involved. What can we do? International, big global attraction. Everyone wants this fight. They know that they need to produce it, and hopefully they do it sooner rather than later. We don't want to be in a situation when Pacquiao and Mayweather, it was years too late. Let's be honest. So hopefully this is the year. Why not? Let's do it. The Olympics look like they're going to go ahead. So why don't we have our own Olympic version of the kickboxing world and Takaru Tenshin? Let's keep fingers crossed.
Mm-hmm. Well, I hope so too. I agree with all. I hope that it definitely happens this year, because I think this is the year it has to happen, especially what you said with the Olympics. And it is the biggest fight to make in Japan. Like if it doesn't happen this year, then I don't think it can happen next year. Like this year has to be the year for it.
It's Tokyo Dome level stuff.
Yes. And for those that want to watch the El Dorado show, you can get on fight.tv, and you could hear Stewart and Mark giving us glorious English commentary on this. I think it's going to be a fantastic show to watch. For kickboxing or MMA, listen, I think that's the great thing about Rise, that if you're even not into kickboxing, you can still watch it and enjoy it. And you guys help the non-kickboxing fans ease into it, which I think is great. Now, you guys will also be doing the commentary for Quintet coming up. I think that'll be March 13th, I think. Is that March
12th?
Oh, March 12th, excuse me, March 12th. And while not all the fights or matches have been announced, we know that it's going to be it's going to be women's groups this for this show. But one of the fights we can talk about is a super fight between Daisuke Nakamura versus Tomoshige Sera. And Nakamura seems to be. Is he having a career renaissance, Stewart? Because he's won his last two MMA fights. He's done fantastic in Quintet. What do you think? Yeah, is this?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
To me, he never really went away. I think he just got caught up in having starting a family and his own dojo, starting that up. But the guy has never really fallen off. He's always been there, and he's super exciting. I mean, there's nobody can say that Nakamura doesn't go out and put on an absolute damn show every time.
Mark, what do you think about all this great work that Nakamura has been doing, especially in combat sports? Won his last fights by knockout. He's not really known as a knockout guy. He's a guy who goes for submissions, but he's not knocked out his last two opponents, and also significantly younger than him. And all the success in Quintet. Now he's got this big fight with Sera coming up.
Yeah, it does feel like he's undergoing something of a MMA renaissance. That you saw the victory on Sunday. That was spectacular. It was only seconds after the low blow. He came out with a big knee, wins by knockout. Absolutely fantastic. Maybe that hit off a few cobwebs and he just exploded with that big right knee to the face. That put him out completely. Really superb performance. And everyone's talking about him once again in the MMA circles, which is only good for him. And I think that this is a great matchup. We've got Pua BJJ style against a rugged grappler, someone who's got all kinds of experience, a lot of no-gi experience. He's done a little bit of catch wrestling. He's even done some pro wrestling recently in these last few months with Noah and some other organizations. So I think it's a fantastic matchup, this one, a special attraction. And I'm really interested to see Daisuke Nakamura, to see what's next for him back in the grappling zone. And again, Sera as well, is one of the top guys from Carpe Diem who led the way, let's be honest, in the team format in Quintet. So I think, this is really a standout bout, and this is worth tuning for on its own.
Stewart,
stylistically, sorry.
I was going to ask, what advantages do you think Sera has over Nakamura that would could potentially get him the win?
Well, the thing is, the advantages that they each have are different, very different. Their styles are very different, and stylistically, this is a very interesting matchup as it is. You've got Nakamura's chain wrestling. I mean, he just links one thing to the next, and he won't hang about on a submission if he thinks it's going nowhere. He'll immediately transition to the next one. Whether even that means giving up position, he'll take risks, and that's what makes him so exciting. I mean, they're both there on merit. Let's face it, but the merits are very different. Nakamura is handpicked by Sakuraba. Sakuraba knows Nakamura's style very, very well, and he knows that he's never going to come out and give anything less than 100% and look for the finish. And that's what Quintet's all about. You're not getting points anywhere. You're out to get the sub. It's sub only. Sera, as Mark said, he's one of the top Carpe Diem boys. His pure Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu style is very, very different. There's a lot more pinpoint stuff going on, and he of the two, he's more likely to be able to edge out very small techniques, sweeps, and positional stuff, pressuring Nakamura. Those two different styles make it fascinating.
In terms of, because who do you think has the leg lock advantage in this match, Mark?
Well, that's a tough one. I would potentially say Nakamura. I think it comes across like he's a master of 1,000 submission holds, as they used to say about Dean Malenko and various other wrestlers. But I think he's just so experienced in the game at 40 years of age. This is a kind of safe environment for him. There's no risk of MMA. He can be a little more methodical in his work, which really suits him. But even so, he's such a fascinating person to watch. He can be slow when he needs to be and set things up step by step, or Stewart said, he can move from one move to another. And I think that's why I give him probably a slight edge in the leg lock area. But also with Sera, he's a black belt in judo. That's something, I really like to see. I'd like to see more of, even a little bit, sometimes in Quintet. But I think those who have a background in judo, maybe they get a little bit tentative. If they throw, it's what happens next in the transition, or, we don't really see that so much. But maybe that's something that he can bring into this one a little bit to unsettle Nakamura. We'll have to see.
Now, I know all the fights haven't been announced for Quintet, but I know that, we're going to probably get some more announcements as it's gone. And I'll say this, Quintet's never been a bad show. There's never been a bad Quintet show. There's always something for everybody. If you like your super fights, tune into Quintet. If you want to see the team stuff, tune into Quintet. So we'll be definitely getting some more announcements, I guess, as the days go on. Right, Stewart?
Yeah. It's as you can probably appreciate, putting together a grappling card, a high-level grappling card, especially under the circumstances right now, is very tough. But then you add in the dynamic of quintets, 5 members per team. It makes it all the more difficult. So it's not surprising that they're a little bit late in the day with announcing the other teams. But I think we could see something from the AACC camp. That's a strong possibility. Other than that, I can't release any more information at this stage.
Of course. No, we don't want you to get in trouble or anything, of course. But for people that want to watch the Quintet Fight Pass, I believe it's still on Fight Pass, right? I hope.
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, it'll be on Fight Pass March 12/13th. For I guess if it's March 12th for you, it's March 13th. Wait, it'll be March 12th, March 11th. Yes, March 11th, March 12th. And Quintet, if you love grappling, or if it's just a great show all together as well, because you'll see people who you may never see in an MMA fight or some other form of combat sports actually get to compete. So I'm definitely looking forward to that show. And we have a little bit of time left, and I do want to talk about Noah. We still have some time, Stewart. I just want to make sure if you have a little bit of time.
Just a few minutes, yeah.
Okay, great. So we'll briefly just talk about Noah. Muto winning the GHC championship. You guys are commentating it. Tell me just your thoughts on Muto being Shiozaki. I'll start with you, Stewart.
Oh yeah, phenomenal. It's going to go down in the history books. People will talk about that and write about it for years to come. And not just that itself, everything that led up to it through Muto's career, Shiozaki's career, and especially the workload that Noah put on Shiozaki in 2020. Just absolutely blown away. I was absolutely blown away by that, and I think that probably goes tenfold for Mark.
So Mark, I want to ask. So I'm just curious to know, do you think that the loss at all hurts Shiozaki? Because I felt like this was going to be Shiozaki's time to be I feel like his whole career has been always the guy a dollar short. Whether back in the original Noah, and then he left to go to All Japan. And then All Japan didn't work out, so he comes back to Noah. Then Noah has a thing of New Japan, and it seems like they're going to do stuff with him there. And then that whole relationship dissipates. I felt like him. Do you think that his momentum might have been stalled by losing to Muto? Your thoughts?
No, I don't think so, really. I mean, you have to look at his title reign was over 1 year. And that's the reign that's really cemented his place in Noah and in Noah's history. He's arguably became the man that everyone expected him to become through that 1 year reign. And you have to look, as Stewart said, the workload. In the turnaround of 13 days, he had that epic against Nakajima, and then a 51-minute war against Sera. So really, you have to look at the volume of the work, the level of those matches. He was arguably Wrestler of the Year for a lot of people. And now, maybe it's a little transitional time at the moment. He can rest a little bit, but he's still only 39. He's going to hold that title again, that's for sure. And now it's just about going in a different direction, something completely new. And we'll see where it goes from here. I think this is a long-term story that we're going to see unfolding. But I think everyone's going to be still absolutely craving to see Shiozaki in some big matches, which no doubt we're going to see even this year. And I'm sure that before long, he's going to be back in the GHC heavyweight title picture.
Before you go, Stuart, my last question for you is, New Japan's number one in Japan. What can Noah do to become number two? Do you think it's at all possible that Noah can become? Because I felt like when that match with Sugiura happened with Shiozaki, that I heard more wrestling fans talking about Noah than I can't remember the last time when Noah became the center of conversation among like wrestling fans. Do you think that what can Noah do to become that number two promotion and just go beyond? I know that they're taking steps with having English commentary with you guys that helps beyond Fight, but what can they do to take the extra steps to cement number two status?
I think it's not a case of what they could do. They're already doing it. They're on a trajectory, a path right now to greatness, and every single show they do builds on the next. And the way they're promoting the shows, the fighters, it's top class. So they're already doing it. It's on the right path, in my opinion.
If you gotta go, Stuart, I'm happy. If you gotta go, do you want to stay? Can you go, or do you have to stay?
No worries. I'll wait just till the end. It's probably okay. Not too much more now anyway.
Okay, gotcha. Well, I was also gonna just ask about both of you in terms of commentary, because you guys are mostly do MMA, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, grappling. What is it like commentating for wrestling, and just tell us if you have to change, just what is it like commentating for wrestling, Stuart?
It's fascinating because it's something that I haven't done before. It's a new feather in my cap, and I'll be quite honest with you. It's an honor, and it's made me fall in love with Noah and pro wrestling. And the roster that Noah has is superb. Also, to be honest, I felt a little bit more pressure than normal at first, because my background isn't in pro wrestling. Although I've been living in Japan for 20 years now, so and I was a student at Takada Dojo, so I've always been around it in some form. I just haven't delved in deeply until recent times. So there was a bit of pressure there, I feel, because hardcore wrestling fans, I guess like any hardcore fans, they expect a lot. They have their expectations of what a good show should be, and some people don't care too much about commentary, but for others it really makes the package. So I felt the pressure, but I wanted to make it my flavor, but Noah's flavor at the same time. And of course, Mark and I are just feeling our way into this because we got called in at the last minute to do it, and it seems to be going well.
Mm-hmm. And Mark, how's it feel being a pro wrestling commentator on your resume?
Yeah, it's like a dream for me. I mean, I remember 2003, the early 2000s, I was buying Noah tapes, and they take like a few weeks to arrive and everything. And Misawa Kobashi 2003, such rave reviews online, I started buying tapes, and it escalated from there. And 2013 was the first Noah show I attended. It had Liger against Zack Sabre Jr. I just happened to be in Tokyo for a week for work, and then made sure first and foremost I went to a pro wrestling show, and it was Noah. So yeah, first and foremost, I'm a fan, big fan of wrestling, Japanese wrestling, and Noah as well. There's so much rich history in just the space of 20 years. And even from our first show, we got on 4 days notice, and it built to Shiozaki, Nakajima, and just watching that from being in the front row, it's the type of thing, if I wasn't there commentating, I'd be there as a fan with a ticket. So just to watch that unfold and to be calling the action, I had goosebumps, during that match, just the quality of the match. And hopefully we put that story and put that, the gravity of the match, the scale of the match, hopefully we put that across to new viewers and to all viewers alike.
Now, this is the most important question, Stuart. Out of all the wrestlers that you've seen while you're doing commentary, who has the hardest chops?
Oh, Shiozaki's right up there, of course. Nakajima he's ferocious because he's so fast, and the power. It's not just speed. He has power. So yeah, I'd have to say one of those two.
Mark, how about you? Who do you think has the hardest chops in Noah?
I'd have to say Marufuji. I think just what he's done to so many people's chests, like Segura has left his chest a bloody mess. It was so many times, and I think it was due to an injury that Marufuji had a number of years ago. I think when he was in America and he had to change his style, so I would think he was encouraged by actually Kenta Kobashi to try and incorporate the use of chops, and he's just taken that to another level now, much to the pains of the other members of the roster.
Mm-hmm. Well, every match I've seen of Marufuji, when he does chops, the other guy chest either comes out bloody, bruised, or just some different color. It's not the color that it's a different. It comes out a much darker and usually purple or much different color than when they came in.
Yeah.
And you guys will be commentating the next Noah show. I just want that's the Fukuoka show, I believe, right? Muto and Kiyomiya.
So the next one is March the 7th that we're doing, which has got the tag team title match.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's Aggression against Sakuraba and Segura, who's voted the tag team of the year last year. That's on the 7th of March. And there's nothing official yet about the 14th of March, which has got the GHC heavyweight title match, which is Keiji Muto against Kaito Kiyomiya. There's nothing official yet, but stay tuned and hopefully there'll be some news on that soon.
Okay, well, cross our fingers. Hopefully that show as well. Yeah, guys, I just want to say I appreciate you taking the time to talk all this stuff. RISE, which will be this Saturday night, Sunday on Fight TV. We got Quintet on Fight Pass on March 11th, March 12th, and Quintet. And then you got Noah show March 7th, which will be on Fight, and then hopefully you guys will be on the big championship match between Muto and Kiyomiya. Hopefully, cross our fingers.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Again, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking your time out, and I'm looking forward to hearing your voices numerous times throughout March and the end of this month.
You'll be sick of us.
Well, sorry, what was that?
You'll be sick of us.
No, absolutely not. No, I will not be. No, not at all. But again, guys, thank you so much for talking. I really appreciate it.
Thank you too.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
And